Stay quiet. Stay alive. A Quiet Place Day 1 is now streaming on Paramount+. Experience the day the world went quiet in this terrifying continuation of the thrilling universe of A Quiet Place. When Sam returns home to New York City, she is thrown into a harrowing nightmare when mysterious creatures attack by hunting for sound. Lupita Nyong'o and Joseph Quinn star in A Quiet Place Day 1, now streaming on Paramount+. Rated PG-13. Head to ParamountPlus.com/quiet to try it free.
From Bloody FM, step into a mysterious shop where every object has a sordid tale to tell.
You have plunged so deep into the depths of despair.
Meet the antique dealer and a rotating cast of the best in horror.
I didn't believe in stuff like this. This wasn't real.
Mike Flanagan, Kate Siegel, David Dasmalchian, Jocelyn Donahue, and more. The antiquarium of sinister happenings and odd goings-on. No refunds, no exchanges. Experience it on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and wherever you get your podcasts.
Hello, and welcome to Scare You to Sleep. I'm your host, Shelby Novak, and I'm here to read you a bedtime story. Before we begin, I'd like to announce that I will be attending Creep IE Con in Ontario, California, the weekend of September 21st. So, yes, I'll be working on my birthday, but who could ask for a better birthday setting than to be surrounded by horror fans? So if you're coming to the convention, look for me walking around. I believe I'll be at a Bloody Disgusting booth. This is a little bit, not last minute, but I just got added, so I'm not sure of all the details yet. So look for me if I'm walking around. I'll also be hosting a panel. I don't know what panel that will be yet. We're still working out the specifics, but a lot of my fellow Bloody Disgusting podcast friends will be there as well, like the Losers Club, the Boo Crew, and Halloweenies. So if you're a BDFM fan in general, you'll get to see so many podcasters you like on top of all the cool stuff going on there. I mean, there's so many cool people there. Once again, that is the Creep IE Con in Ontario, California, from September 20th to the 22nd. I don't think I'll be there for all 3 days, but if you have a multi-day pass, which I think most people get anyway, I'll catch you on one of them. This week, we have another aquatic tale. I've been in sort of a water mood this month, if you've noticed. Even my Patreon bonus episode had a sea theme, or not this month, but this summer in general. This is by author M.C. Schmidt, who you will recognize from their other tale, Madison and the Sea. This week, MC has for us the Undersea Waltz. I understand the storyteller to be a woman, but it's a man's voice I hear. The song's been running through my head for weeks. Is it a song if there is no music? Or is it only a melody? I'm not sure when one becomes the other. Usually I can't make out the music, but the voice is constant. It's always with me, tinny and faint, like a record playing an old Victrola. It hadn't bothered me until tonight. Tonight, Jay is humming it as he unloads the dishwasher. I stop wiping down the countertops to listen. Hearing the tune in Jay's voice, the difference from how it sounds in my head, the wrongness of it, is when I realize how deeply it's taken hold in my brain. I know that, I say. What is that? The song? I'm not sure. I think it's that one you're always singing. Am I always singing? He smiles, like I'm adorable and ridiculous. Yeah, I mean, you're not randomly breaking into song or anything, but, you know, I hear you mumbling it quite a bit. I mumble it? I repeat. I have no idea what it is. Me either. It's pretty. He takes my hand and pulls my body against his, and carefully dances me in a slow, tight circle inside the space between the counter and the open dishwasher door. He counts the beat, and after a few turns, I begin to sing the tune as I try to place it. Jay gives me a dopey grin and motions like he's going to dip me. I resist, pulling back from him, shifting my weight in a way that causes me to slip on a wet spot on the floor. A second later, my hip lands hard against the floor tile. My cheek catches the edge of the dishwasher door. Oh my god, Cora! Jay is screaming. I'm fine, I groan, after appraising myself to make sure I am. Calm down, it's only my pride, and my hip, and my cheek. Oh my god! I said it's fine. Help me up. I extend my hand to him, and only then do I register the shock in Jay's eyes. He's glancing from my face to the dishwasher and back. What? I ask. Did I break it? I raise up on my shoulder and make the slightest turn of my neck to look, and I immediately flinch away. I've landed with my ear a half an inch from the food processor's blade on the dishwasher's lower shelf. In bed, later, I say, I think it's been in my head since I moved here. I'm turned away from him, lying on my good side to baby my sore hip. You've heard it ever since you moved in with me? I think so. It was probably a TikTok or something. You're on your phone a lot, now that you're not working. I swivel my neck and glower at him in my periphery. I'm not working, I say. I just haven't found anything yet. I've had a job since I was 13. I didn't mean it as commentary, babe. It's just, you've had a lot more free time lately. You've had less to occupy your thoughts. That's probably perfect conditions for letting in an earworm. He rolls and presses himself against me, placing his hand lightly on my hip. When I wince, he pulls back. That bad? I nod. I know what's on your mind, Jay, and it's not going to happen. He falls back onto his side of the bed. I do leave tomorrow, he says. Yeah, and I'll be healed up good as new when you get back. Now, go to sleep. You have an early flight. He performs a little puppy dog whimper, but it's only for show. Within 10 minutes, he's snoring. The pain in my body keeps me up until, eventually, I drift off too, coaxed from reality by the call of that lilting tune. I sleep fitfully, plagued by dreams that are lost to me in the morning. Jay is gone when I wake up, flying somewhere over the Midwest, probably. He sent me a text an hour earlier that reads, "Up, up, and away." I feel so lonely in this empty bed, in this strange city, that I could cry. My body hurts, and I can see from the reflection in my phone that my cheek is badly bruised where it smacked the dishwasher. I spend the morning checking for status updates on the jobs I've applied for. Several of the postings have closed, so I write off getting a call from those. Most are unchanged. By 11, the apartment has grown claustrophobic, so I get motivated to take a walk. Jay will be gone for 4 days, a period that's long enough for me to get to know the city on my own. If I get a better handle on the city, I think, I won't be so anxious. Then, when Jay gets home, I'll be calmer, a better partner, a dynamic woman positioned to make a power move into a high-paying professional position. He'll come home to the undisputed queen of Columbus, Ohio. At the very least, I'll get some air. As I prepare to go out, I'm aware that my body is moving in time with that tune. The pacing of my steps from the bathroom to the closet, the choreography of my fingers as they do of the buttons of my coat, the flick of my wrist as I wrap on one of Jay's scarves. Now that I'm aware of it, the melody augments my movement. Every gesture is a dance in a world where the music never stops. It's a novel and, at first, delightful. I walk down one crowded sidewalk after another. The turn and tear of the bodies, the cycling of traffic lights, the stop and go of traffic, all perfectly attuned to a time signature that only I am keeping. Soon I find myself humming along, capering to the rhythm of the street, beaming a smile at every performer and prop in that grand ensemble. I'm in good spirits by the time I come upon a little walking trail along the bank of a river. I walk down 2 flights of concrete stairs to the trail and then stand at the edge of the water. A jogger moves around me without slowing down. I watch her for a while after she passes me, her ponytail flinging from left to right in a familiar rhythm. The river water is calm and muddy, rippling only slightly with the push of the February wind. I came from a little town in southern Ohio, so I've never really been around water. I've never seen an ocean or even a Great Lake. I don't think I understood the appeal of it until now. The peace and calm you feel when staring out over a body of water. I've been standing here for ages, wrapped in the warmth of that feeling, when a voice from behind me calls, "Hey there, lady!" The voice hits my ears like a discordant clap, like a stone thrown to upset that water's calm surface. I reel around to find that the speaker's hand is gripping the arm of my coat. "Get your hand off me!" I hiss. The stranger releases me and takes a step back. He's young and lanky with a floppy haircut, probably a student at the university. I move to distance myself from him and find that my shoes have suctioned themselves into the mud. It took an effort for me to lift out of it. My pants are wet up to the knees, and I'm suddenly freezing. "You splashed me!" I say to the boy. He goes wide-eyed at the accusation. I absolutely did not." I can't help but notice the wild bobbing of his Adam's apple when he speaks. "You were standing in the river. I've been watching you from that bench," he says, pointing behind him. "You were creeping out, farther and farther. If anything, I just saved your life. Look at my boots, man. They're ruined." I look down at his boots, stylish and suede, impractical and dripping with mud. And then I gaze past him to the park bench. There's an acoustic guitar laid across it. "Is that yours?" I ask him. He looks back as if to make sure that his things hadn't been swapped with someone else's. "Yeah," he says. "That's my gear." I sit with the boy in the lobby of one of the university buildings. His name is Hunter, and the building is the closest place he knows where I can sit and warm up. My legs sting from being damp and cold. The lobby is huge, with giant windows on all sides, very bright, very public. Still, no one bothers us, even when he begins messing around on his guitar. We sit across from one another on 2 soft benches in a study nook off the main thoroughfare. "You don't have to sit with me," I tell him. His guitar sounds atonal when heard in unison with the song in my head. "That's not how this works," he says, glancing up from his fingers. "Once you save a life, you're responsible for it forever." "How old are you?" It's a rude question, but I'm not feeling polite just now. 20. I'm 30, and I live with someone. "Good for you two," he says, then makes a louder racket on his guitar. "How did you and someone meet?" I squint through a growing headache. "College. We dated, then he moved up here for work. He's a pilot, OSU Airport. I just moved up here to live with him." "Is everything okay with that?" he asks in a voice that's quiet and delicate. "I couldn't help but notice, your face." He indicates my bruise by touching his own cheek. "Do you mean, does he beat me? No, of course not. How dare you?" "Fine," Hunter says, returning his attention to his guitar. "You're living a beautiful true love story. So, why'd I have to save you from jumping into the Olentangy River?" My voice echoes unexpectedly when I say, "I did not jump into the Whatsy River, or any river." In a whisper, I add, "I am not suicidal." "Cool," he says. "Me neither." We look away from each other, and he continues to play. "Can you stop that, please? Just stop playing, please." Hunter drops his hands and slumps over his guitar, staring into my eyes like he's trying to crack the riddle of me. Then, without warning, he stands up. "Okay, Cora, I'm rescinding my offer to be responsible for you. My amended motto is going to be, when you save a life, smile graciously and walk away." At the realization that he's leaving me, I feel suddenly panicked. "Wait," I say. "Don't go yet." He towers over me, holding the guitar by its neck. His eyebrows raise to ask what I want from him. I'm unsure of the answer. I say. Hey. Hey, what? I was wondering something." "Okay." He grins at me. It's that same grin Jay gives me when he thinks I'm being ridiculous. "What were you wondering?" "Do you write your own songs?" He laughs like I've made a joke. But when I hold my gaze on him, his brow furrows. "Yeah, sure, why?" "How does it work? Do you hear the tune in your head and then you figure out how to play it? Or do you have the guitar part first and then you make up a melody?" "Either," he says. "Both? It depends. It's art, man. There's no formula." "Got it," I say. "Will you sit back down, please?" He looks all around us before returning to his bench. "So, the thing is, I have this song stuck in my head, and I can't figure out how I know it. If I hummed it for you, do you think you could figure out how to play it?" Hunter brightens. "Oh, I see. That's interesting." After a pause, he answers, "Yeah, I'll bet I could." Without another word, I stand from my bench and take a seat beside him on his body tensed at our closeness. Okay, I say. It goes like this. Hunter is an excellent player, at least when he's playing something worthwhile. All told, it takes him 20 minutes to become proficient at accompanying me. It's a waltz, he tells me, taking his victory lap. It's only 4 chords. The verses are just finger-picked, G and F sharp, and then the chorus walks down the A minor and the C. Piece of cake. That seems pretty simple for a whole song. You'd be surprised at how simple most songs are. Being complicated isn't what makes a song good. It's the story and the tone of it. What's the tone of this song? I ask him. He thinks for a moment. I'd say it's lovelorn, full of longing, maybe a little sad. Any idea where you heard it? I shake my head. That sucks. I hope you figure it out. He pulls his phone out of his pocket and studies it. Look, I hate to rush off, but I have a late class. Hang on, I say. Can you write down the chords for me before you go? Sure, he says. Do you have a paper? No, I say after searching my pockets. I have a pen. Here, write it on my arm. I hand him the pen, and then stand and throw off my jacket. I inch up the sleeve of my sweater and presented my bare arm to him. It tickles, I say as he writes. Once done, Hunter returns my pen and rises to his feet. Thank you for a most bizarre afternoon, Cora. Now, do me a favor and stay away from the Olentangy. And with that, he leaves me. I'm turned away from the main entrance, redoing my coat buttons, when I hear the squeal of tires, a thump, agitated voices. I turn to see a taxi stopped in the street outside the university building. Its hood is dented. I can't make out what's under its wheels, but I've turned in time to see Hunter's guitar slide several feet down the asphalt. It makes a hideous scraping sound before it comes to a stop, a sound so much uglier than the sweet accompaniment it still plays in my memory. I'm standing in the bathroom of our apartment, staring at my naked body in the mirror. Looking at the chords to my song is like seeing an external map of something that's precious inside of me. I went over Hunter's scribbles with a permanent Sharpie, and then I replicated them on every part of my body that I could reach. I felt comforted every time I wrote them, the way a little girl delights in writing the name of her crush over and over in her diary. My body is my diary. My body is a song. I'm still at the mirror when Jay calls from Detroit. Duluth? Des Moines? I can't remember. Hey, I say. Hey, babe. What's my little songbird up to? Is that supposed to be funny? With the phone to my ear, the song pounds like a heartbeat in my temple. I try to concentrate on Jay's voice. Humor was my intent. You okay? I don't feel well. I lie. I hadn't realized until this moment that I don't want to talk to him. Oh no, a cold or something worse? I don't know, just sick. I might go to bed. While I'm speaking, I hear him call out to someone. Then to me, he says,
I'm sorry, babe. Say that again?
"Who was that?" I ask.
What? Those voices? It was Amy and Christy saying goodbye. They just got everyone disembarked.
Amy and Christy. Do I know these names? While he asks if I need anything or if he should call someone, I absently run my free hand down the side of my ribs to my hip, picturing Jay's hand, Amy's ribs, Christy's hip. "Don't worry about me," I say. "I'm fine. I'm going to go now."
Oh, okay. I hate that you feel bad. Text me tomorrow and let me know how you're doing.
"Fine," I say. "Bye."
Oh, Cora, wait. Are you still hearing that tune?
I hang up without answering, letting Jay assume I hadn't heard him. My next memory is of staring into a pool of clean, blue water. There are children at the far end of it, huddled together. None are swimming. They cling to the edge of the pool, staring at me with puzzled looks. It's an enclosed room, and the air is humid and sharp with the smell of chlorine. I'm flanked by 2 police officers, 1 male, 1 female. The female is speaking to me or declaring something to me about the YMCA and aquatots and trespassing. It's hard for me to hear her. The song is droning loudly in my ears, crackling and distorted like it's playing through a speaker with a broken wire. The officer may as well have been screaming at me from the bottom of the pool.
"I don't know what you mean."
I yell this to make sure she can hear me.
"I don't even have a pass for the Y. I don't even know where the Y is."
I break away from them and begin walking toward a set of double doors. They allow me to go, but when I look back, the officers are following me. Each has a hand on the butt of their holstered weapon. They shadow me for 3 blocks. I walk for many more than that, unsure where in the city I am, not wanting to stop to get my bearings until I'm sure that I'm rid of them. When I'm satisfied that they aren't going to appear out of some side street to arrest me, I duck into a boutique luggage store and pull out my phone. I've missed a dozen texts and calls from Jay. The clock shows that it's 1 in the afternoon. I've lost nearly 16 hours. "Ma'am?" The hipster behind the counter calls to me. He has the beard of a craft beer bro and a handlebar mustache. "Was there something I could help you find?" I glance around me at his wares before saying, "I need a trunk. I need to get out of the city." "Siri, what is this song?" I ask, and then begin to sing it.
I'm sorry, Cora, I don't know that one.
"Siri, what is this song?" I ask again, and again begin to sing.
I'm sorry, Cora, I don't know that one.
"Siri, this song is pounding in my head and I can't think, and I'm frightened and it's driving me crazy."
I don't understand that.
"Siri, what is this song?"
I'm sorry, Cora.
"Siri."
I'm sorry.
Siri.
I'm in a bathtub. Mine and Jay's? Or some other? Am I still in the city? Or have I escaped? I'm not sure. The light is off. There's a fecal smell coming from the water. The game I'm playing is to see if I can spread my fingers and touch 5 iterations of the same musical chord on my body. I have to touch them all with every finger, and I have to move through them in order. G, then F sharp, then A minor, and finally C. And I have to make it through the whole song, from the first verse to the last chorus. Each time I fail, I must begin again. It's difficult in the dark, but I know when I get it right or wrong. I go slowly, struggling to get it right. I need to get it right so I can get out of this filthy water. Where's Jay? Could Jay help me? Of course not. I've left Jay. Or, no. Jay left me. Jay is with Amy and Christy. Siri, where's Jay? I wait in the university building, hoping to see Hunter. When I arrived, there were 2 girls on my bench, so I scared them away and reclaimed it. I need everything to be just so, or else Hunter might not recognize me. I wait for him for a long time. A security guard comes by to say that I don't belong here. I tell him I'm waiting for someone, but he's firm that I must go. Out front, I spot Hunter across the street from the building. I cross, ignoring the cars that pass between us. When I get to him, I reach down and rip the little white crucifix with his picture on it out of the ground. There's a wreath on the crucifix. I tear it off and throw it into the street. For privacy, I kneel in a nearby bush and tell him everything I've figured out. How the song is about a woman who's married a ship's captain, how he takes her to a strange city, then he messes around on her, and how he kills her and drops her body into the sea. How the song is trying to warn me. How Jay is with Amy and Christy. How Jay will do the same to me what the ship captain does to the woman in the song. All the while, Hunter smiles back at me, silently listening. The bath again. Still, I can feel the rhythm of the song behind my eyes. My head throbs, and I consider letting my face slip under the water to make it stop. There are no lyrics now, just superlative tones that rattled my teeth. Hunter is with me. For modesty, his little crucifix is face down on the closed toilet seat. I become aware of someone moving in the apartment. I know who it is, and I know why he's coming. There's no mistaking it, because as soon as I hear him, the music stops. Clearly, I hear the faucet drip, the subtle drain of water in the pipes. My initial reaction is to laugh. It's been days, weeks, since I've had the luxury of hearing my own thoughts. But my relief ends abruptly with the sound of a crash outside the bathroom, followed by a man's voice cursing. "The captain," I whisper to Hunter.
Cora? Are you home?
The voice calls.
What's with the trunk? I nearly broke my neck tripping over it.
I stand and let the bath water drip off my body before stepping out onto the mat. I toss back my hair, flinging water onto the shower wall. It hits the prefab plastic with the sound of 1,000 daggers. Attracted by the sound, the voice moves to the locked bathroom door and starts banging.
Are you in there? Babe, is everything okay?
Babe. Trickery. I smile. I'm standing beside the sink, dripping, my fingers on Hunter's wooden crucifix, when the door finally bursts open.
Jesus! Cora! Oh, God, honey!
He says, as he looked me up and down. He moves quickly, wrapping me in a hug and wailing that he's sorry to have left me alone, and why didn't I call him, and he needs to get me to a hospital. I receive him with my arms outstretched, like a child's imitation of Frankenstein's monster. Slowly, I clasp my hands, interlacing my fingers around the hilt of Hunter's crucifix, and I thrust it forcefully into his back. He screams and releases me, pushing me away. The bottom edge of the crucifix is pointed, but it's dull. I doubt I even broke the skin. What I need is a softer target. And after I rush at him and knock him to the ground, I find it. There's so much that's fragile in the face and throat. I take an Uber, if you can believe it. The driver even helps me lift my heavy boutique trunk onto the back seat.
Are you getting the heck out of Columbus?
He asks.
Yes.
I say, staring out my window. I just ended a relationship. It's dark outside, which seemed fortuitous.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. You don't mind me saying, when I first saw you on the curb, I thought, this is a lady that's been through the ringer. It's good you're getting away from him. If it was a domestic abuse situation, I mean.
He's an old man. Old men love to butt in. I neither confirm nor deny. But I have my bruised cheek, my hip, the countless other cuts and scratches that have appeared on my body, if I need them. This busybody would attest to my bedraggled state in the court of law.
So, why are you headed to the Olentangy?
He asks.
Wouldn't you rather me take you to the bus station or the airport or something?
I want to say goodbye to the river before I leave.
Is that right?
After a pause, he says,
I can wait for you, if you want. Get you wherever you're going.
That's not necessary.
Suit yourself.
For several minutes, we drive in silence. We're stopped at a red light when the driver meets my eyes in the rearview mirror and asks,
Ma'am, what is that?
My hackles raise. I assume he's asking about the contents of my trunk.
Excuse me?
That song you're humming. What is it?
I feel a flood of relief. I sit back, draping my arm over the trunk. Casual, like I haven't a care in the world.
Was I humming?
I ask. I'm genuinely surprised to hear it.
You were indeed like a little canary.
How odd.
Yes, I'm aware of it now. The faintest trace of the melody in my head. The sound is peaceful, inviting.
It's nothing at all.
I tell him.
Just some old tune that I thought I'd forgotten.
Thank you for listening, and thank you again to this week's author, M.C. Schmidt. And again, if you haven't checked out their other story, Madison in the Sea, that was just a few weeks ago, a few episodes back. I can't remember the episode number right now, but go check that out. And if you'd like to follow the show on social media, you can find it on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at scareyoutosleep. And if you'd like to follow me personally, you can follow me at Shelby B. Novak on Twitter and Instagram. And if you'd like to submit your own fictional story to the show to be considered for the show, you can send it to scareyoutosleep@gmail.com. There's also a contact submission form on the website. I prefer an email if it's going to be a lengthy story, just because I prefer a separate document. It's a little easier to read because the formatting tends to get really messed up on the contact form. Or if you just copy it into the body of the email, the formatting gets real wacky. Like there are no paragraph breaks or anything, so it's really difficult to read. And honestly, if I get a wall of text, I probably won't read it. It's just too time consuming and I get so many submissions. I don't, basically, yeah, make sure it's a separate document or at least make sure the formatting is correct. Thank you. And you can also submit your true stories there as well. Just make sure to put into the subject line that is a true story or fictional story. That makes it really easy for me to properly put it into its own little categories within my email. You can also get bonus episodes and ad-free episodes on Patreon, patreon.com/scareyoutosleep. All these links are in the show notes, by the way. There's a link tree that takes you to everything, including the merchandise site and whatever else. By the way, speaking of the merchandise, so I've told you before that the new merch site that I use does kind of a cameo type thing where when you buy something, it allows me to send you a thank you video that comes with your order. But it's been a little bit glitchy the last couple videos I've sent. So if you received a video and it didn't have audio or it just wasn't playing, please let me know. And I'll make sure to make a list and send you all videos just separately, as it'll be just over email. So if you do have that issue, please email me and from the email address, or let me know the email address. I can send you a little short video to say thank you. I don't know what happened with it. I'm sure it was just a weird little app glitch. It happens, you know. So yeah, and then again, if you'd like to buy merch, that's one of the perks, and I'd really appreciate it if you did. And come out and see me at Creep IECon, or if you're just happen to be going, then, you know, make sure you stop by and say hello. I love meeting people. I love meeting all of you. I love having conversations with you and all that. I'm sorry I don't have more details. Like I said, it was a little bit last minute that I was kind of added, and I'm still working out all the specifics, so I'm sorry I don't have exactly the panel. I will announce that as it gets closer, as I know more. This is all I know so far, is that I will be there on a day and I'll be doing a panel about something, talking to someone. So yeah, like I said, I'll also probably be walking around that day. Hopefully. I love walking around conventions. So grab me and say hello. Thank you also to those of you who sent your well wishes to Clara, my cat, and who sent me advice and things. I really appreciate it. We went to the vet. Everything is good. It's just something that's kind of chronic, but she's on some medication now that is helping her. She's so much better now. It's great. It's very hard to give her medication, I will say. She's feisty. She's one of those that they can't examine her in the room. They have to take her back and put her in a little burrito every time since I got her. She's just a feisty little gal. But we're figuring it out. The beauty of liquid medicine, I'm telling you, because you can put it in their food and she has no idea. And as for baking this week, for the little baking, should we have a name for this little baking corner? Or I guess I always call it the ramble, and that kind of includes the baking. So we're at the ramble portion of the episode. I feel like I should announce it for people who don't like the rambles to be able to be like goodbye and hit stop. So we're there. We're there if you'd like to skedaddle. But for baking this week, I made a strawberry cake with strawberry cream cheese icing. I'm not going to say I cheated, but I used a box cake for strawberry cake. I've had fresh strawberry cake. That's amazing. But I will say there's still a few types of desserts that I still prefer like the cheap version. Like I prefer fake maple syrup over real maple syrup. I know all of Canada is coming for me. They're at my door. I hear them. But strawberry cake is one of them. I just love boxed strawberry cake. That like artificial, it almost reminds me of that medicine a lot of us, at least I don't know if it was just an American thing, but I think it was called amoxicillin that you'd get as a kid, and it was strawberry flavored and it was pink, and it kind of reminds me of that. So yeah, I like the weird artificial strawberry taste, but I do make my own cream cheese frosting, and I put fresh strawberries in the cream cheese frosting. So it's a balance. It's a balancing act of box and homemade. Oh, I did make fresh bread rolls this week. That same recipe I mentioned a few weeks back. It's Sally's Baking Addiction for bread rolls. And I like to make that recipe because I can freeze. She has most bread you can freeze, and then you freeze it before its second rise, and then you can let it thaw and rise later on. And that's why I like making rolls. They because even the rolls take about 5 hours to thaw and rise once you do it. So sometimes it's just nice to like remember in the mornings, like, or in the afternoon, like, I'd love a fresh bread roll with dinner, and just set 1 or 2 out to thaw and rise as I work. And so that's always fun. It's also just a fantastic recipe. It's fantastic. And they're beautiful. They're really pretty bread rolls too. They look like, I've made them before and I put them on Instagram, and a lot of people were like, those look like the Texas Roadhouse rolls. And they taste pretty close to the Texas Roadhouse rolls. I don't think they're as sweet. I think I haven't been to Texas Roadhouse in, probably a decade, but I do remember theirs being like sweeter, and these aren't so sweet. They do have like a honey glaze you can put on top, so they're a little bit sweet, but they're not as like, I just remember Texas Roadhouse rolls being almost like dessert-like. Maybe it was the butter it comes with like a cinnamon butter, right? I don't know. But speaking of those rolls, like today, right now, I have a pot roast in my crock pot that smells so good. I'm dying. Pot roast day is my favorite day. I tend to do a Mississippi roast. I love just look it up, a Mississippi roast. There's a million people have recipes for it. And it's so good. And I can turn like the meat. It's like a neutral enough flavor. It's very flavorful, but it's also neutral enough. You can make like dip sandwiches out of it. You can serve it over mashed potatoes. I turn mine into burrito meat later. And that's probably what I'll do later this week. And again, speaking of those bread rolls, I can pop a couple out of the freezer. I don't know. I should really just start a baking show, like a tips for living singly, or I don't know. Anyway, I'm going to go. It's been kind of a week. Sometimes the darkness just comes, and it's one of those weeks. Don't worry. You don't need to send me a bunch of worried emails. I just, what can I say? Mental health. Sometimes it's a bitch. So I'm going to go, and I hope you are having a fantastic week. Again, I'll give you more info for that convention when it gets closer for all my Southern California friends. And I'm going to be starting a picture of Dorian Gray soon on the Patreon. So look out for that. I think I did this for Frankenstein. I'll probably put the first chapter or first 2 chapters maybe on the main feed, just so you can kind of get a taste of like, is this something I want to subscribe to Patreon for? Or again, like Frankenstein, when it's all done, $10 and up patrons get the full thing in one file. Or actually, Frankenstein is available right now. You can go just purchase the entirety of Frankenstein, and you don't have to be a patron. You can just purchase the Frankenstein. I forgot what they call it. It's collections, I believe. Patreon's got all kinds of new features. So I was testing this one out with Frankenstein, and thank you to the one person who has purchased it so far. I really appreciate that, because I wasn't sure if anyone would. Frankenstein was a little rough. I started it 5 years ago, and it went through a multitude of microphones and abilities of my voice acting and narrating abilities. So hopefully Dorian Gray will be a little more even keeled throughout. So anyway, that's all for now. I'm going to go. I hope you're all having a fantastic weekend. Please drink your water. Stretch. That's another one I wanted to add. Stretch. I've started getting back into Pilates and yoga, and you don't have to do that. I'm not saying that. I'm just doing that. And man, I really forget sometimes how beneficial just a really good stretch is. Look up like a video for deep stretching. It's hard. It sucks sometimes, but afterwards you feel like a wet noodle, and it's awesome. It's awesome. And watching some people in my family getting older and not keeping up, like stretching just really, it's just good for you, and it feels good afterwards. Some of it feels good during, but then some of it, wow. And then you're like, wow, I should do this more often because this was hard. And thus, anyway, go stretch this weekend for me. And go drink your water. Go get some sleep. Sweet dreams.